You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
Welcome. You are listening to watching the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. Today's Election Day 2022. Paradigm shifts. There are shifts taking place throughout society, throughout America. Many of you aren't aware of, but I believe that one trend we're seeing, and my next guest, Aaron Clarey, aka Captain Capitalism, will agree, self-sufficiency. People moving to lesser populated areas, states. When you do that, there's a certain sense of freedom, but you start having less interdependence, which is what we have in most urban areas, and you have to do more stuff for yourself. Aaron, it's great to have you back. So
hi, how you doing?
You're now in the great state of South Dakota.
I'm down, yes, down in the great state of South Dakota. Only one state to the north of me before we hit Canada. Yes, but I'm in South Dakota, the Rapid City area.
Yeah, so a lot different from the urbanized area you were in Minnesota before.
Very, yeah. They don't burn their buildings down here. We like our cops, yeah. But no, definitely. It's now I've been visiting South Dakota and traveling the West for over 15 years now, so I'm not unfamiliar to it. But definitely, I know a couple of people who've moved out in the area from larger metro areas. And even if they visited it, there definitely is a cultural change or a cultural shock, both good and bad. And so, yes, I personally like South Dakota a lot, but a lot of people are kind of shocked when they go out to Boise or some small town in Montana or one of the Dakotas. So, yeah, it's definitely, it is a different lifestyle than what a lot of people are accustomed to if they're coming from the city.
So as far as adapting, changing, what do you think the biggest change has been from living in the city to living in rural America?
The biggest adaptation is kind of acclimating to what's good. You think that if you win the lottery, it'd be great. And it is. I mean, it's a net positive to you. But psychologically becoming not necessarily comfortable, but accepting it. Like, there's no traffic. I'm not waiting in line. There's no crime. And like, yeah, it's great and all that, but you have this unease. I guess it'd be more closely related to like kind of an odd form of PTSD, where if you were in Iraq and constantly getting shot at and snipers and all that, you're always looking over your shoulder like, oh, am I safe? And the city, it makes you a little bit more on guard, and not even necessarily because there's a crime about to be committed to you, but there's a lot more hustle and bustle. There's traffic. You have to move. You have to rush. What time is my thing? Oh, I got to leave an hour and a half to make it on time for that thing because of traffic. And, well, what's going on here? What's going on there? And it's just a much slower pace, and you got to adapt to it. And you're going to have a surplus of time. So you kind of like all of a sudden you'll be rushing, going. And then it's 2 p.m. and you're done with all your stuff. You're like, okay, now what? It's like, there is no now what. You're done. Now you're like, oh, that fun thing I used to do as a kid, I got to rediscover that. What do I do now again? So it's kind of a psychological adaptation. That's what I've had the hardest part with. But I know a lot of people, they come in from a cosmopolitan area. There's no Trader Joe's. The bars aren't open that late. Just like across the rest of the country, these places are short-staffed. So there's a few 24/7 places. Those are all, I mean, they're still there, but they're no longer 24/7. And so it's a slower pace. Things are not as immediate. You have to sacrifice without, well, thankfully there's a really good whiskey bar and a cigar bar in Rapid City.
All right.
The higher end amenities you might be used to in a large cosmopolitan area like Miami or Dallas, they just don't have that here. But it's a lot easier, a lot calmer, a lot slower. And as long as you don't need, flirtinis, you'll do all right out here.
So you mean I'm not going to be able to get a coffee martini or a chocolate martini at a bar in Rapid City?
Well, Rapid City. Now, here's what's funny. Rapid City is considered like the big town in the area.
That's
Like,
the
oh,
big
you're out
city,
of Rapid.
yeah.
Oh, you city slickers. It's like a town of 60,000 people on a good day. And you can find in some of the regional, like Billings is a larger town. Casper is a larger town. Like Lincoln, Nebraska is a larger town. So you'll find martini. Yes, we have internet. Yes, we have
You have
electricity.
the internet. Really?
Yeah. We're the train's coming through next week. We hear it's all this exciting developments in Rapid City, but there is some cosmopolitan areas or hubs. But if you want to be left alone, like let's say you go out to White Falls, Montana, or Havre, Montana, or Chamberlain, South Dakota. Yeah, you're going to be Green Acres, and you're truly going to be doing without. Now you have internet and all that other stuff, but yeah, there's not going to be a chocolate martini. One thing, and you'll appreciate this, Kerry, to tell whether or not you're going to get a chocolate martini or if it's even available, ask the bartender to pour you something neat. And if they know what you're talking about, that's about as cultured as it's going to get. If they look at you like, what do you mean neat? It's like no ice and double it. And you're like, oh, why don't you just say a double? You know, like, yeah, you might be out in the hinterlands a little bit.
I love it. Well, you look around and, hey, I think I would rather be where you are for the zombie apocalypse than where I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, in an emergency situation, yeah, I'm kind of golden. There's not a lot of people out here. There's enough land for the people to live off of. Everyone carries guns. We got all the farmers and ranchers. We got the food. So we're good. And I love Florida. Don't get me wrong, but places like Florida and Vegas, although very good for tax treatment, there's just too many people. Now I don't live in fear like that, but I have made investments in such a case of contingency, not so much for an economic collapse, but just future costs and a lack of skilled people we're not training in America. For example, I got solar panels, not because I'm a big off-grid guy, but I don't see us generating enough linemen, electrical engineers to keep the electrical grid up, or let alone keep it in such a good maintained shape that the cost of electricity is low. Like you, I got a pedal assist bike that's solar powered. It's got a battery, so I can still have some mobility, gun and food and all that. But yeah, if you you're not going to be able to grow your own food in Boston. It's just not going to happen. And if you do have food, they'll kill you. So
possibility.
Yeah. And there's nothing but upsides. The upsides of moving out to a rural or semi-rural area just drastically outweigh living in a major metro. But there are, of course, some slight psychological adjustments you'd have to make.
Yeah. No Starbucks. I was saying, if you really want to help a homeless person, give them a solar panel. Right?
Solar panel?
Yeah, you give them a solar panel because you're helping the green economy.
Right.
And
shields them from the rain and the elements a little bit. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And they can use it to charge their cell phone, right?
Right. That's
so, but yeah, it's there's no Starbucks out there. And I guess the civilized accoutrements of life are absent there, but people relate better, don't they?
Well, yeah, it kind of forces you to spend time with each other. Now, I've been busy dealing with the house and all that, but finally everything's done now. And then me and the girlfriend are kind of like, oh, we get to hang out a little bit. We have, oh man, Kerry, are we spoiled? Let me tell you this. We wake up at about 8 a.m. and we stay in bed till 9:30 having coffee.
Oh,
it's nice. It's nice. But it's like, oh yeah, there's no rush. We don't have to commute. We both work from home. There's no fighting traffic. There's no snow anyway here. It'll come later, but we escape to Vegas after that. But yeah, you do kind of get to communicate and hang out with your community a little bit more, rather than go to loud nightclubs or run off to this thing or run off, or you're just exhausted by the end of the commute. You don't want to go out. So there is a fair amount more of social activity in terms of community. There's different clubs. I belong to a poker group. The fraternal orders are a little bit better populated here than what you'd find in the city. And yeah, they even have they got hoot nannies. You got hoot nannies down in Buffalo. Yeah, you go to a big barn dance down in Buffalo Gap. The community comes out. There's potluck. It's almost Andy Griffith in some ways.
Do you do square dancing?
No, I learned that when I was 5 years old for a play my parents made me go into. But no, I haven't seen any square dancing, but they do have like two-step and East Coast swing and country. Yeah, and you come into town and they have some fireworks, and we're talking a town that's no more than 200 people. But it's there is more. Absolutely, I'd say there's more community here than there would be in a large metropolitan area.
But everybody knows everybody's business, right?
Yeah, there is that drawback. Now, thankfully, I have the benefit. The Black Hills area is about 100,000 people, and so you're not the new guy in town, and everyone knows who you are. But yeah, you do kind of have to watch your P's and Q's. You don't want to be getting in fights. You don't want to get on the wrong side of the law, because if you get on the wrong side of the law and say Sturgis, well, the entire county sheriffs and the city municipalities know who you are. But there's people kind of keep to themselves, and they don't air a lot of public laundry. So it's kind of like the guns, everyone has a gun. And so therefore everyone is very polite, and everyone kind of could find out who you are. So everyone is very polite. So that's kind of the balance is maintained that way.
That's the way it should be. Mm-hmm. Well, I wish everybody was so polite in Florida, but
there's too many New Yorkers down there. That's why. It's those New Yorkers, Kerry. Those are the ones who are ruining Florida.
I won't argue with you there, Aaron. New Yorkers kill everything. But hey, so as far as the broader economy, you're in South Dakota. Do you think about the global economy? Do you think about the U.S. economy?
No.
Or do you feel kind of divorced from it?
I feel divorced, but it has nothing to do with South Dakota. That just has to be with the very unique situation I find myself in, where I derive my income from essentially broken families. Because that's where I derive my income is kids who are not raised by their parents right, or don't have their parents, or the parents
dysfunctional.
Dysfunctional. They come to me. So in that sense, I'm kind of a contrarian investor. So the more bad, the more good for me. But I'm also a minimalist, so I don't spend a lot of money. My house is more or less paid off. I have solar panels. So I don't have a lot of utility expenses. So I don't care. And then the more reason why I don't pay attention to the economy is it's just not worth paying attention to. It just isn't what I'm about to die. I got about 35 years left, I estimate. Right. I'm not going to spend it like I did the past 20 worrying about the economy and working hard and trying to be responsible. I vote, Republican or Libertarian. I invest and diversify in things to hedge against collapse. I diversify. I'm going to be going over to Asia to look for property overseas potentially. And then when that's all said and done, I'm not going to worry about it. I don't care if the Democrats win. I don't care if I would like it if the Republicans win, but I'm not going to let it ruin my day. And so I go out hiking. I do my motorcycle riding. I do fossil hunting. I relax and kind of do my job, have my coffee in the morning. Right. And try and live a good life. So that's kind of, I don't really pay attention to the economy or the world anymore.
And that's maybe there's some wisdom there. Mm. Ignore the economy, go on with your life, live your best life, and the rest of it will fall into place, huh?
Mm. Well, my blood pressure is way down. There's like my heart rate is lower. I mean, it's amazing what picking the right environment will do for your biophysiological health. But one thing is just pay attention to politics, pay attention to economics, but respond. Don't curse at the sky and howl at the moon because people are stupid. That's never going away.
Don't be a Karen.
Yeah, don't be a Karen. Yeah.
Don't be a Karen, and don't go out with a Karen, and don't. Just avoid Karens like the plague, because they are the plague of modern society, aren't they?
They are. What is it? You're a destroyer of joy. You can't be. Well, look at them. Look, They're all pissed. Look, let's say the Republicans win the House of the Senate, or there's just happens to be a red wave in general. There are people, predominantly Karens, who are going to be pissed off, about as pissed off as they were when Donald Trump was in office.
Howling at the moon, right?
Howling at the moon. When it's like, look, you could, instead of getting angry at the way the voting turned out, you could go to the gym, thin down, find yourself a great guy,
get a new hairstyle.
Dance. Yeah, you could have great sex. You could you could fall in love.
Get contact lenses.
I mean, do your hair look. You could have some fun, but I have a feeling the Karens of the world are going to be angry and pissed off because the world is ending because some Republicans got elected. You know what? Not for me. Nope. I'm not wasting my life.
They'd be just as pissed off if the Democrats won because the Republicans ruined everything.
Right.
So either way, they're not going to be happy. So you can't pin your happiness to unhappy people, right?
Right.
You got to get those toxic people out of your life. And I would assume in a place like South Dakota, it's easier to do that than in Minnesota, New York, or Florida.
Don't just survive, thrive. The Financial Survival Network.
Fury Gold Mines is a Canada-focused exploration and development company committed to aggressively growing its scalable, high-grade gold assets with major drill campaigns planned across its 3.5 million-ounce portfolio. Fury is led by a management team of proven explorers and developers with a track record of success in advancing and financing project development. Fury Gold Mines is well-positioned to create value for investors with low-risk development growth and the potential for a new major discovery. Fury Gold Mines trades on the TSX and NYSE American under the ticker FURY. To learn more, go to furygoldmines.com. That's furygoldmines.com.
This is the Financial Survival Network, the information you need to thrive now more than ever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think people are a lot more worried about their politics in the major metropolitan areas. I mean, certainly leftists, that's all they have is their politics. It's like, oh, I'm such a good person. I'm for the political ideology of parasitism.
Yeah.
Whereas South Dakota, Montana, the Western states, most people are like, well, yeah, I'm for freedom and this and that. And okay, I'm going to vote Republican. But then they get on with their day and they'll spend time with their children or their grandchildren, or they'll go to the VFW and there's potluck. And I think there's a lot more living here, although it may seem subdued, but you know, they're going to go ride their horse. They're going to go, you know, put in a retaining wall. They're going to go live their life. They're not going to sit there and stew on Twitter, cursing at Elon Musk for picking on Ocasio-Cortez. They got other things going on in life.
Yeah, or Kathy Griffin.
I don't know. What did she say? The actress, the comedian?
Yeah, because she was impersonating Elon Musk.
Yeah.
So that's a violation of the terms of service, and they suspended her. But he said that he'll let her back on if she pays $8 a month.
Okay, good. There you go.
For a blue check. I mean, is he the best troller, prankster ever put on the planet?
Absolutely. See, that I know about his blue check mark and the spoofing and the memeing. That's news I can listen to because it's kind of lighthearted news. But yeah, I don't need to hear about what the Federal Reserve is doing. I know they're doing what's wrong, so we don't have to watch that. Guaranteed. But yeah, watching Elon skewer the effete class of America, that's fun to watch.
Yeah, there's a lot. Hey, sense of humor, man, right? Laughter.
They don't have it.
Medicine.
The left doesn't have it. No. It's like you could crack a great joke. It's like, man, do any of you laugh? Do any of you get laid? What the hell's going on? The left was supposed to be the cool swinging, and now they're the most pissed off, curmudgeonly people. It's like, be miserable.
And warmongering. They've become the warmongering class, too.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Spawned by opposition to the Vietnam War. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, as long as we're not sending troops there and we're just blowing people up, and troops that we don't know about, they're all for it. I mean, isn't that amazing?
I don't know what it's like to be in their head, and I don't care.
Yeah, I don't want to know.
You know, 30 years ago, you're all for the Soviet Union. Now you're against Russia. I'm like, I thought the Cold War ended. And but now we got a bee in our bonnet now for something new. I'm like, okay, go be miserable. Go deal with that. I really don't care.
Yeah, so true, man. So true. So your own internal state of happiness, that's where it all begins and ends, isn't it?
And it's largely free. It's not like you got to pay for it or anything. It's just kind of controlling what you do and do not. You have stoicism. You accept what you do and do not control. And then the hard part is not letting the stuff that is bad for society or even individually, you don't let it bother you. Just go out and, oh, well, I do control whether I go for a hike today. Or I do control whether I have a root beer float. And so not that I'm all becoming a Buddhist out here in the prairies of South Dakota, but it is just a more relaxed, it kind of removes all the chaos, all the hustle and bustle. And you're like, oh, there's other things to life than that. And a lot of it is just downtime and relaxing and maybe going outdoors and touching some grass.
So true. So true. And when you live closer to nature, it's all better. And eating better food is also so important because the stuff that passes for food nowadays, you really shouldn't even be feeding to your dog.
Right. But not a lot of restaurant options out here in South Dakota. So and thankfully I got a woman who cooks really well. So I am very spoiled in that regard. But yeah, if you're coming to Rapid City, you don't have to bring money for a budget for food or fine dining. You just go to the grocery store and you'll be all right.
All right, man. Well, hey, it's a pretty amazing world, and there's a lot of stuff. You should never be bored, no matter where you live. There's so much to do here. Hey, one piece of advice that if you could go back in time, you would give 21-year-old Aaron Clarey?
Join the military, get the GI Bill, major in engineering, buy property overseas, get a vasectomy right now. Yeah, really. I mean, how many bits of advice would you like?
That was okay.
In short, give up on what they told you you're capable of. They lied. You are not capable of all this because that requires society. You are capable of joining the military, getting the GI Bill, putting in your 20, getting a pension, and retiring on a beach in Thailand by the age of 45. So that's what I would have given myself advice.
Well, that's looking pretty good to me right about now. I would just tell the old me, save 10% or more of your income. No matter what you do, you can always do it. Won't even miss 10% from your day-to-day existence. So there's no excuse to not save 10%. So that would be my piece of advice. Hey, my son followed it. Luckily, he's saving 40% of his income. And awesome. Whether he retires or not, there's this thing called the FIRE movement. Did you read about that?
Yeah, early retirement. Jacob Lum Fisker wrote the book. But yeah, early retirement extreme.
Yeah. So you can do that. It's a guy I read about is making $135 working for the NSA. I think he might be in South Dakota, in fact, or Minnesota, wherever that big NSA installation is. And he owns his house, paying off the debt. His wife, I think she's a stay-at-home mother. They live on $25,000 a year. And his goal is to retire when he's got close to $1 million saved up and live on $25,000 a year. Inflation might have other ideas, but presumably his investments and his house will be worth more. So I don't know about retiring. That's not really my dream. But having the freedom to do whatever you want to do, whenever you want to do it, that's a good thing. So. Hey, and we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about A-hole consulting. Business is booming, huh?
It's just a consistent burn, not a burn, but they keep turning up the temperature, and I keep trying to raise my prices to maintain a balance of volume. And man, people really don't want to raise their kids under stable families, and men really don't want to raise their sons or daughters, and we really don't want fathers in the household. And I can't help them more than they're being produced. And so,
only one of you, Aaron.
I know there is only one. And I thought there'd be other people and authors and content producers, YouTube channels that might be able to help. And there are, there's no doubt a lot of people, but Yeah, that's booming. I'm probably going to have another record year, even adjusting for inflation. But it's great in that regard. But it's kind of like being a doctor. It's like, how was your year? Oh, it was great. I had more cancerous patients than I've ever had before. And how you're a cop? What? Oh, I had more crime committed than ever before. And it's kind of
a great year.
Yeah, it's great for me, but I won't lie. It's kind of depressing when you're like, man, these problems are not going away. People are not learning, and these kids, younger people, under 30 kids, they're misled, they're hurt, they're poor, they're suffering, they're struggling. And we're helping individually, but there doesn't seem to be any end to them. And so unfortunately, that means society is not telling these kids the right thing that they need to hear. But we'll do what we can. But I'd be lying if there's a piece of me that after you look into the abyss for a while, you're like, oh, great, now let's go get a root beer float. You're kind of like, wow, there's a lot of people that are living effed up lives.
Yeah.
And are struggling. So it's kind of sad in that way.
Well, you know what they say, the feminists, that a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle, right?
Right. And a lot of these guys are depressed and sad. Yeah, no, they're right. They're true. I'm fully aware that women are not as interested in guys as men are women, but a lot of these guys end up sad and depressed, sometimes even suicidal on my doorstep. And we gotta. It's like, well, here's what you got to do otherwise and go live life. But that's kind of where we are, I guess, nowadays in today's society.
I feel bad, like, hey, our generation, my generation, and yours to a lesser extent, the last generation that grew up in the nuclear family.
Yeah.
And we know the benefits. So the devolution of the nuclear family has created the need for a-hole consulting, basically, right?
It has. It has.
Family.
Yeah. But I would have just preferred if people stayed married, raised their kids, and these kids wouldn't have to suffer or be misled for decades of their lives. But we don't find ourselves in that world.
No, that world is a piece of history.
Yeah.
That they'll be writing about. But, it's everything works better in the family. The family confines, assuming the family's functioning properly. Mm-hmm. And, there are plenty of instances where it hasn't or it didn't. We know that. Definitely true. But nonetheless, everything works better. Society functions better with properly functioning families.
Yeah. So. It's I find it the peak of arrogance and hubris where a bunch of social scientists these past 50, 60 years thought they knew better than 2 million years of human evolution. Like we figured it out. Every culture, every society, we all came to kind of the same conclusion, like mother, father, stay together, children, stable, families. But some feminists and some social engineers got to be in their bonnet in the 60s. Said, wait a minute, we know better. We don't need men. And it's like, have fun with that. And we've already seen the consequences of the results, but no one's ever going to admit they're wrong. They're never going to admit they're wrong.
Complete, total societal disaster. And it's not just here in the US of A.
Right.
A global thing. Mm-hmm. I'll bet you get clients for a-hole consulting from all over the world.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's spreading as the world economy and technology advances, not to mention they spread the concept of feminism into different cultures. Yeah, there will be a breakdown of the nuclear family's pressure against it. And it'll seem shiny and great and wonderful at first, and then it'll destroy their society, and then they'll be like, oh, why are we so sad? Why are we on drugs? And no one's going to have the balls to say it. But we're going to have to go through it just like any other kind of ailment or virus or sickness. And then we'll rediscover the wisdom that we've generated over thousands of generations were wise, was written down in many different scriptures and religions. And then maybe we'll go back to that. But I don't think I think you and I are both going to be, we have left this world long ago before we get to that point. So this is what we currently get to deal with for this generation and the next.
I think you are 100% correct there, my friend. Hey, we'll leave it at that. If you got a question for Aaron, shoot me an email, kl@kerrylutz.com. His website is What's your website? Captain Capitalism
Blogspot.com. That's the blog. Yeah. But if you want to go to my consultation, it is A-hole Consulting, but it's spelled fully out. AHoleConsulting.com, and you can
don't use dashes, use S's.
Yeah, spell it out the way you think it should be spelled. Yes, yes.
Anyway, it's great talking to you, and we'll definitely visit you when the weather gets warmer up there, because I've got a couple places I want to go to, and you be well. And any questions, KL@KerryLutz.com. Make sure you go to the site, sign up for the newsletter, financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Aaron, we'll be in touch.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.